that we're in the right direction, we must not let down our guards as individuals, as businesses. We must continue to take personal responsibility for the safety of our families. But the important thing really here is that this period can also mean a period of boom for some. It's a matter of how we are prepared. So in the rest of the 2-3 slides left, I will delve a little bit on what does it mean really to reinvent ourselves. When we say we're reinventing yourself, your business, what are we talking about? Can we go to slide 3, please? So reinventing basically just means adapting. And truly, we need to adapt. The season, today they say it is a new normal. A new world order has come, where a lot of things has changed. Can you ever imagine a year ago that a Premiership football team or football match would be played in an empty stadium? Could we have imagined a world where for more than 2 months, planes were not flying? Could we have imagined a world where offices are locked up for months? Truly, it's a new order, it's a new world order. So we are saying for anybody to survive at this time, there must be a period where you will reinvent. Reinventing means coming up with ways and means to adapt. It is no longer a time to fight the change because the change has come. We must adapt ourselves. We must adapt our businesses. We must adapt economies of the world. If anybody is waiting for the day COVID will be over, I think we'll be living in a fool's paradise. Of course, as Christians, we continue to pray, God help us stay the hand of COVID. But there are changes that COVID has brought about that are going to be with us for a very long time, if not forever. And those are the things today I want us to focus our attention upon. Please move to the next slide, please. Okay. So when we say reinventing ourselves, it's about adapting to the new normal. It's about recalibrating ourselves to be able to survive, thrive in the new normal. So what are these steps that I think we need to take in our process of readapting? I think the first thing would be that we must accept that a time for change has come. There's no point fighting it. We must accept that this has brought a change to our world. We must accept that this has brought a change to the way we do business. And so the first step in that process is our ability and preparedness to accept, embrace the change. And I can give you a lot of examples of what has happened. My famous example is a nearby neighborhood supermarket near us. Me and you, gleanly, before COVID, we walk in and out without thinking. But today, we will pause. Is it really worth it for me to go? Can't I order whatever I want to order online and get delivered to me? Those are part of the changes. So if the owner of the neighborhood supermarket is waiting on COVID for my customers to come back the way it used to be, if that owner of supermarket did not reinvent the business model, we discover that after a while, one by one, the hitherto customers will have been won over by other businesses that have reinvented themselves. And that's the danger in not adapting to change. So we must embrace the change. And more importantly, we must adjust our offerings, our business offering to the new world order. But one of the other things I would like to mention, which strikes at about mindset, is that we must look deeply, and I mean keenly and deeply, into the business environment. Truly, a lot of things are happening. It now depends on what do we see. What do we see as individuals? What do we see as business owners? You must see the positive side of COVID before you begin to say, let me adjust my offering. Adjusting our business offering, the way we do business, the way we sell, what we sell as business owner is a product of what we can see. If you cannot see changes, we just be waiting there and a tsunami will come and hit us. And I pray that we are a bit more receptive. A lot of the things that we are seeing today, people go and deliver pizza. Today, they don't have to interact with you. They can use a contactless card. They can use it. You can go through touchless delivery. You drop it on your door and you move on. A gym owner today, waiting for the day when people will come to the gym. A lot of gym owners today, they are going online. They are doing reimagining, readapting their business model to be able to capture the moment. So that for me is adaptability. So when we say reinventing, maybe you are a worker, you are an employee, a career person. You must begin to think on how to readapt yourself. You are a business owner. How do I readapt my business? So these are things that I felt that are very important. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, specifically, I would like to address in the next 2-3 slides, I would like to address, and I will spend a bit of time here, I would like to address business owners, SME, and the likes. When we say how do we reinvent our business, a business owner first job as owner will be the thinking side of the job. I always say that there is a doing part of the job of a business owner and there is a thinking side of the job of a business owner. The owner thinks while the worker works. So in readapting yourself, it's a responsibility, major responsibility of a business owner. You have your staff, you have your supplier, you have your customers, but the thinking side of your job, the picking of signal from the environment, knowing what is happening, looking at your customer, looking at their needs, their changing demand, their changing pattern, that is the responsibility of a business owner at this time. A business owner must be able to separate the noise from the reality for what is happening. Underneath the noise that we see, lockdown, quarantine, self-isolation, the business landscape is changing, and it behoves on the business owner to be perceptive to know that indeed signals are being sent in the business realm. If you are not able to pick up this signal, you will wake up tomorrow and you'll be asking, who moved my cheese? That becomes what the younger ones call a jam question. When things are happening and you are not reacting, and after the event, you begin to wonder what has happened here. That truly will be a jam question. So I'm asking the business owner amongst my my humble listener today to dig deep, to pull back, separate the noise that we are seeing, separate the cacophony of the noise and the halubalu, and think, look at the business environment and be able to pick up signal to recalibrate yourself. Because you need to know what is happening for you to reinvent your business. You need to know and be able to be assured by the signals you are picking to be able to reimagine your business model. And that's, for me, that would be my first admonition to a business owner. I'm talking strictly at this point to the business owner. You must pick signals from the market. A lot are happening. COVID has brought unprecedented changes to the way we do business, to the way we do our lives. So a business owner must be perceptive enough to pick these signals and use it to recalibrate his business model. That would be my first charge to you as a business owner. Secondly, I will enjoin the business owner to reimagine his business model. What do I mean by reimagine your business model? I'm asking you to rethink how you make money. What made you money yesterday certainly may not make you money today. The way you are making money today may not qualify you to make money that way tomorrow. So constantly, a business owner must think on reimagining his business model. Reimagining your business model basically just means think about how your business is making money. A man who owns an event center from March this year to today, I'm not sure they will have more than 1 or 2 bookings, if at all. So if that business owner of an event center is sitting for the day COVID will come and go, he will probably be hungry. I'm aware of an event center owner who has reimagined the business model. He turned the event center into a market, a vegetable market where different sellers come on maybe 2 days in a week, and they display their vegetables at different sites, and a lot of people come to buy. So that has become a different way of making money. Rather than waiting for somebody to come and celebrate in those event centers, he has turned that place into a daily or twice a week type of market. And people who come to sell food items, they pay. So that's about reimagining the business model. What made her money yesterday is no longer making money today. So that, for me, is the responsibility of a business owner at this time. The third thing I would like to say is that a business owner must be able to ascertain the impact of COVID on his or her business, meaning impact analysis. As I said before, COVID impacts different individuals, different businesses differently. Some are affected, some are almost dying, some are not as affected, and in fact, some are thriving. My CEO was giving an example some time ago about a business who does a turnover of a year in 2 months of COVID. So again, it depends. You must be able to do analysis of your business and know the impact that you will have on your business. Again, I will commend that piece of advice to you, that you need to really think deep and see how the thing has impacted your business. What about the impact on your customers? And this is very key. One of the ways that you can pick up changing customer needs, changing customer demand, is by interacting with your customers. At this point, customer is key. If anybody who used to visit you is no longer visiting, this is the time to find out what's going on, so that you don't wake up one morning. Most of your loyal customers have cut over to other platforms that are a bit more convenient and accessible. So when you interact and you are close to your customer at this time, you are able to pick out signals, what is happening, data, information that you can use to recalibrate your business model. You will gain it. Your customers, your suppliers. So if the customer is changing his preference from your product, you will know. If there are other things, you will know. So at this point, as business owners, please, 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 any way you can find a way to assess your customer at this point, you must be talking to them. And I believe that more importantly also, you must know, you must find out how has COVID landed on that business, on that supplier. Because if COVID has adversely affected the capacity of that supplier to supply your inputs, you will struggle. If COVID has negatively impacted the purchasing power of your customer and you don't know either to adjust your price, again, you will be in a hot soup. So I'm asking you as business owner at this point that this is another time to extend the analysis beyond your own company and look at how has it landed on your customer, on your suppliers, because business is a chain. If you don't get your input, you can't produce. If you produce and your customers have moved on, you will not sell. So your impact analysis must cut across your own business, the way you make money. You must cut across to your own customer, suppliers. And again, as a business owner, you must also analyze the impact of COVID on your operating model. What do I mean by operating model? Operating model is the internal structure of your company, how your company is run. Sincerely, at this point, businesses need to look inward and see how they can recalibrate their structure to make it leaner, swifter, and tighter in terms of the structure. We must be able to reimagine our operating model so that we can cut down on cost, we can drive for efficiency, and become more effective at meeting the needs of our customer. So again, I will ask you, sincerely, that in trying to do this, there may be need for you to outsource some functions that you do. If it becomes more expensive, then we need to look at other opportunity to outsource some core operating functions. So here again, I'm asking you as business owner, reimagine your business model, reimagine your operating model, do impact analysis on your business, do impact analysis on your suppliers and customers, and I believe that if you do that, you begin to reposition your business on the path of sustainability. For me, this year is a year where a business owner must focus solely and solely on survival. If you can survive this year, you will have achieved something. So in survival, these are some of the things that you need to do. Again, I will quickly jump into your people, your staff. Apart from being interested in their health, because COVID is a health crisis, you must take personal interest in what is going on how they are securing their family, or how they are securing themselves. Because if they contact COVID and they bring it to the office, everybody in the office will be affected and the business will be shut down. So, I mean, you must take personal responsibility, not only for yourself, but for your staff. One of the other point I would like to make when it comes to your staff is that there are some staff that can work from home. Not everybody needs to come to work. People can today work from home. I have been working from home for a long time. Even today, I don't go to the office more than maybe once or twice a week. The rest of my work is from home. This presentation I'm doing today is from home. So really, there could be part of your staff that you can cut over to home working from home. There could be part of your staff that you do remote working. They don't need to come to the office. there could be one or two other places that they can stay, near their home and work from there. And there could be people that you can put on part-time work also. So these are things that you must re-examine and find a way to drive down your operating model and your cost at this time. So your people is very important. And again, if I may also say this, the skill sets that your staff needs are changing and have changed away of COVID. So as business owner, you also have a responsibility in ensuring that they acquire the right skill. In the next slide, I will talk about reinventing your career as a worker. But a business owner also has a responsibility in ensuring that the staff that works with you are able to reskill and retool for the new normal. So you have a responsibility, while the staff also has an equal responsibility to retool and to reskill. But there's a part that you as an organization, you must realize that the need has changed, and what goes into making an employee is also changing. So please, it's not about sacking people. It's about people do question digitization sometimes. Digitization does not always result into job losses. It may just mean that your role will change, the skill that you need will change, and you will find other roles that you have not thought about. So again, I just thought I should mention that for a business owner. The next thing I would like to quickly jump at is your cost. As a business owner, this is a season when you must focus keenly on every element of your business. Especially, you must kill unnecessary costs. These are not the period to begin to make investments that are not well thought out. So you must focus on every money that goes out, because as I said before, this year of COVID is a year of survival, and you surviving means that unnecessary costs that you can make do without, you have to throw them out of the window. I'm a banker, so I must talk about the role of your bank. I know someone is going to be talking at some point about the role of bankers, but this is a time when you need to stay close to your banker. If you have a loan as a business owner, if you have an exposure, this is the time to approach your banker to reschedule, to elongate the tenor of your loan, to ask for concession on the interest that you pay, because all businesses are impacted. So if they are charging 20% before, begin to ask, can't you reduce it to 17? Can I get a 16? Be aggressive about your negotiation. And then there are other palliative measures that government has introduced to cushion the effect of COVID all over the world. Economies are pumping thousands and billions of naira into their economies, and they are coming by way of loans to SME, loan to individuals. Nigeria is not an exception. CBN has introduced a lot of palliatives. Development finance agencies have also introduced a lot of soft loans that you can get. So this, for me as a business owner, this is the time to approach your bankers and know what is going on and take advantage of the palliative that have been issued. Lastly, on this slide, as a business owner, I would like, no matter how rudimentary, to ask you to begin to think about a business continuity plan, a BCP. And the business continuity plan is just basically a plan to prevent and to recover from any potential threat to your business. You must have a plan how to react, no matter how rudimentary. If you have not done that as an SME, this period will have taught you that there's a need for you to have a BCP. So go online, find out how best you can set up something so that you can recover faster from threats that happens in the environment. Can we go to the next slide? Please, can you also give me an indication of the time I have left? I want to just post something there.
Like
yes.
5 minutes, sir. 5
Okay.
minutes, sir. 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. I will talk briefly about a career person. You are a career person today. The company that you are working for is groaning and going through a lot of difficulties, and that must impact you as an individual, as a worker. A lot of us, particularly youth in the church, if you are employed, thank God for your life. Some people are underemployed, some people are unemployed. So at this time, what should your reaction be? How do you reinvent yourself, your career? Firstly, if you are employed, my greatest admonition to you at this point is that you must focus on developing yourself, acquiring new skills. As I said in my presentation here, I said the greatest tragedy of today is that we rely on yesterday's skills for the challenges of today. It doesn't work. You need new skills because times are changing. And I will encourage you to begin to acquire digital skills. Develop yourself, read books, put yourself on some platforms as a worker. Go on LinkedIn, put your skills out there, seek for skill endorsements, okay, that you need to be able to be more marketable. Go on the other platforms where you can market your skills. And then, of course, you must continue to see, the internet has provided all of us a golden opportunity for us to retool and to reskill. I made the point earlier on that your employer has an obligation to retrain you, but you have a larger obligation to yourself. There are free opportunities online, videos, webinars, coaching sessions, and today there are so many free ones. Get yourself down to reskilling yourself. I would like to talk briefly on what I have called careerpreneur. It's a coinage. It's not in the dictionary. What do I mean today? Every employer is looking for a different type of employee today. Employee with ownership mindset, employee that will take responsibility, employee that is business focused. It is not just going to work and coming back. You must add something. I'm asking for you as an employee that in reinventing yourself, you must have a different mindset. That's when your employer can begin to see your value beyond what it used to be. There must be something extra because these are very tough seasons. You must creatively think. You must be innovative. And how to do all this is when you upscale your skill. Briefly, there's need for you to remain relevant, continue to network. And lastly, can you jump? I need to be just on time. Can you jump to the last one? Last slide. Okay, on the last slide, I said insight is life. And for all of us, truly insight, we must have insight at this point. The Bible refers us to the sons of Issachar in 1 Chronicles 12:32. It says, because they are the one that tells Israel, they know what Israel ought to do. I'm saying at this time, whether you are a business owner or you are a career person, you must gain insight into what is going on. Do not look down on this season. At every time where there is a recession, there is rebounding. You must prepare yourself. Prepare your business, prepare yourself as a career person so that when the opportunity comes, it will come. Beloved, it will come. It must come. And I'm encouraging all of us. Yes, we're in the same boat. We are not in the same boat, we're in the same storm. COVID affects everybody. The way you cope, the way you are impacted may be different, but everyone is impacted. So there's nothing you are going through that others are not going through. And I will encourage us, just like the children of Isaac that are insightful, that knows what Israel ought to do. I'm saying gain the insight that will set you apart at this time. Gain the insight that will recalibrate your business at this time. I want to thank everyone for listening to my blabbings. I want to wish again Pastor Bayo a wonderful and a glorious birthday. Thank you for the privilege of this invitation. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. It has been a wonderful one. God bless you and God will release you the more in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Before we go to the next speaker, we want you, if you have any question, to throw it on the chat platform. And somebody is collating our questions. So at the end of the last, we are going to ask the question. We will summarize them together so that some 3 questions may be addressing the same issue. So the next, thank you very once again. Thank you very much, Mr. Jimmy Simi. The next speaker is a man that has been in the industry for decades. That is many years. And this is the real estate industry. That is Mr. Chudi Bosi. He has over 3 decades active involvement in estate business and management. He started his career in 1986 with Shudumba Automotives and Co. That is in Enugu. Later, he moved to Diafa Timileyin in the year 86, where he rose to a position of associate partner. In 1991, Mr. Bosi founded the firm of Bosi and Co., which later changed to Bosi LA and Co., Estate Survey and Valuer. Today, this company has about 60 professionals, not to mention other ancillary staff. Mr. Bosi has played a lot of role in the real estate. And Mr. Bosi involved in the sale of real estate assets to the tune of over 125 billion. And this includes building, plants, and machinery. He also involved in some commercialization of some government and state enterprises. We talk National Shipping Line, Unipetrol, Trade Fair Complex, Ikoyote, just a mention, but few. And professionally, he's a fellow of Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuer, member of International Real Estate Federation, FAIR, member of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyor of United Kingdom, and also member of Ontario Real Estate Association in Canada. Mr. Chudi has only held several positions. I mean, Chudi, sorry, not Mr. The vice chairman of the International Real Estate Federation from 2007 to 2009. Also a chairman of Strategic Growth Committee of the same organization. He became the president, African region of International Real Estate Federation, that is 2012 to 2018, through which the membership of organization now increased to accommodate countries from Middle East, Tunisia, Dubai, Egypt, and Lebanon. Mr. Chudi Bosi has also been involved in a lot of acquisition and merger of financial institutions. He's married with a beautiful wife and many children. Mr. Bosi, you are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eyitemi. That was a mouthful. I hope everybody can hear me. And good evening to everyone, and happy birthday to Pastor Olubemi. As you celebrate today, the Lord will continue to cause celebration in your life and that of your family and everyone that is connected to you. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, so I have 20-25 minutes to present what I have titled, or I've entitled, Challenges and Opportunities in the Nigerian Real Estate Market. post-COVID-19. So I don't know if the slide is ready. Mr. Itemi, I can't see.
It will come up now. The slide will come up.
Okay, fine. I have a short while, so I'm just going to be very brief. Okay. That's the front cover. Can we go to a lot of things I would have started with have already been talked about by Mr. Ajimi Simi. And that is to do with the COVID. But let me start with where we are. This is a slide. This is a presentation that I've tried to do it start from January 2020, where we are, January 2020. Although we're basically going into October 2020, I've decided to take it from the beginning of COVID. The COVID actually, it hit Nigeria in March, but in actuality, most countries were already flying the red flag as early as January, February. For us, in January, we had a 38.59 billion foreign reserve. The industrial capacity was about 52%, and inflation was about 11.98%. What happened with COVID? I don't want to go back into that, but besides, the first speaker has talked a lot about what happened. Offices closed down, people are working from home, and he made the reference that really struck me. He said, one of the things he said was that, could we have imagined 1 year ago that a football match would be played in an empty stadium? That really struck a chord with me, because under no circumstances would we ever imagine that. We could have imagined that we sit at home for a month, maybe fuel scarcity and so on. But would we ever imagine that a football match, an international football match, would be played in an empty stadium? So that's what COVID has done. What is our status in Nigeria? Today we have over 1,100 deaths and basically nearly over 50,000 confirmed cases. I'm just building, what I'm doing is building I'm building a foundation for what I'm going to talk about, which is the effect of this COVID on real estate. Quickly, what happened, the immediate effects: businesses shut down, the economy was at a standstill. Security situation, especially in places like Lagos, heightened. Exchange rate went up to about 465 naira to the dollar. Oil prices dropped to $21 a barrel. And if we remember, for those who were monitoring the oil prices at that time, if you remember, there was a time they were showing ships on the high sea. And basically what they were showing a situation where the ships were they were all laden with oil and they could not deliver anywhere. So that's what we had. What other effects did we have? We had a downward review of the national budget. People had to begin to work from home, virtual work. And then as we gradually began to climb, or as we gradually began to go back to business, about May, June, there were indications of massive downsizing in many organizations. Could you move the slide? I'm really way ahead now of you. Can you move the slides for me? So let's go to slide, I think slide 6 or slide 7. Yeah, peculiarities of Nigerian real estate. So we're talking about Nigerian real estate, and so the peculiarities of the Nigerian real estate market, the challenges, the opportunities. 15 million, 17 million deficit in residential and basically residential accommodation, residential quality accommodation, a major deficit between 15 and 17 million. Now, this figure varies depending on who you are talking to. And we in the industry actually believe that we will be nearer 22 million because we've been using this 15, 17 million deficit for over a decade and we've not really made an impact in terms of a dent in providing accommodation. The real estate industry in Nigeria contributes about 3% to the GDP of the country. There is, as you might guess, there's a 15 million deficit. There is a high demand. There is a high demand for real estate. But the Nigerian market, Nigerian industry is peculiar. The demand is there, but it's mainly ineffective demand because Nigeria at the moment has very little mortgage. What we have as mortgages are commercial loans couched as mortgages. And for many people, they can't afford to take them as mortgages. So we have a high demand for real estate, but it's mainly ineffective demand. At the end of the day, if you need to buy the real estate, you need to put down almost 100% cash to do the purchase. Less than 30% of the Nigerian population is properly housed, based on the UN statistics. And a figure that I'm going to give you this evening, you'll find that despite all the noise that we make about Nigerian real estate, oh, there's a deficit there, less than 30 to 40,000 units of accommodation actually come into the market every year. Less than 30 to 40,000 units of real estate accommodation come into the market every year. Juxtapose that with the number of graduates, the number of people who come of age who need to leave home and leave home, move into their own accommodation and so on. And you'll find that indeed the deficit we have can only be moving up. But so far, we all work with 15 to 17 million units of deficit. Now, my talk is challenges, reinventing yourself, a business, challenges and opportunities in the Nigerian real estate market. And I'm looking at it, next slide, I'm looking at it from 4 perspectives: the residential market, the commercial market, the industrial, the retail, and maybe we will look at the hospitality. But the residential market is one that interests most of us and one that really concerns a lot of us. What are the challenges, what are the opportunities in this market as we exit COVID? Now, when we talk about exit COVID, we must look at it again in the perspective that are we really exiting, or have we just developed a thick skin to it, and have we taken an attitude of, well, what will happen will happen, or as a lot of us Christians will say, it's not my portion? Have we taken that attitude? Because even this morning in the news, you would hear that many European countries are actually going back into a lockdown. So, but I'm just going to talk about what will then happen by the time we are exiting COVID, or hopefully we are certain that we have exited COVID, which is going to be when we have a vaccine, or when we are sure that indeed the virus has minimal effect on the African because of the way we have lived our lives, and we have some kind of immunity. So what's the projection? What's the outlook for residential real estate? One is that development of new buildings will drop. Development of new buildings will drop. If you are not doing business, the last thing you want to do is go into developing a new property. For those who have started, what will happen? They will struggle to finish, or a lot of them will be abandoned. The effect of that, there will be less accommodation. We keep talking about We keep talking about accommodation, shortage of accommodation. There will be further shortage of accommodation even post-COVID. Rental values, what's going to happen? Most rental values will hold. A lot of people think that, oh, if we're going into a recession, business is not working and so on, that rental values will drop. Unfortunately, from our survey, from our experience in the industry and what we understand about this market, rental values will hold. Let me put it this way. For every single flat that comes into the market today, you probably have about 15 to 20 people jostling to take that accommodation, especially in the medium and low income areas. So most landlords will still achieve the rents that they ask. And that's why we say that rental value will hold in places like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. Capital values will drop marginally. We think that 3 to 5% drop going forward, 6 to 12 months from now. Data on when you get the slides, I have put a trend for you to see rental values in the last 5 years, between 2015 and 2019. One of the things that will happen, one of the major challenges that post-COVID will hit the Nigerian market with, is that there will be a lot of rental defaults. People will not be able to pay their rents. People will not be able to pay their rents. Pre-COVID, we had something like a 40% default rate. Pre-COVID, we had the 40%. We calculated there was a 40% default rate in rental payment. So if you had 10 tenants, 4 will not be able to pay their rents. We think that going forward after post-COVID, default rate will be 60% and possibly higher. So if you have 10 properties, 10 tenants, you will have a 60% default rate. Top-end properties will retain their capital value. Marginal will be just marginal drops. When we talk about the top end, places like DI, Koyi, places like Asoko and so on, they will retain their values. Again, this is because something that a lot of us understand about the Nigerian industry. Most people who own these properties have not taken them, are not owing banks. A lot of them, the properties are fully paid off. So the landlords are not under any pressure to reduce their rents or accept lower figures if they were put in the market for sale. What else do we want to talk about? What else can I say about the residential values, residential real estate? For a lot of the development that goes on in the Lekki axis, which is one of the fastest growing areas, which is one of the fastest growing precincts in Africa, demand will drop. We project that demand for those properties will drop. There will be a lot more relaxed terms of payment to encourage people to buy into those properties. But we project that there will be a loss of demand, and more properties, even going forward post-COVID, will come into the market for sale as businessmen, businesses, landlords, and so on grapple with the poor economy and are looking for cash to run their businesses, to re-strategize, to re-engineer their businesses, even as our first speaker clearly pointed out. Let me move a little faster. I took a lot of time on residential because that's what concerns a lot of us. But let me move a little faster and talk about commercial real estate. What are the challenges with commercial real estate? What are the opportunities? Unfortunately, commercial real estate will be badly hit. A lot of us will know, even without looking very far, that a lot of office spaces are available. A lot of office spaces are in the market. Now we have the added problem of people working from home. Even we in the office have had discussions with, or I've already had a couple of discussions with some of the big companies, and they're asking us, can we let half of our space? And I'm asking, look, and my response really is, yes, we can let half your space, but Who is going to take it? Because just as you are going to work virtually, many other organizations are exploring the possibilities of working virtually. So it will be out there. Rents, they will keep asking the top dollar rent, $600 per square meter. But take up will be very, very slow. Take up will be very, very slow and almost non-existent. The B class properties and the C class properties, yes, will be there, but even for that class of real estate, post-COVID, demand will be slow. For commercial properties, we project that post-COVID, the virtual office thing will gain more traction. A lot of people are going to take up virtual offices rather than rent offices, and those will that will gain a lot more traction. So we reckon that yes, the companies who operate these virtual offices will come asking for more space because people are going to be looking at how they can reduce cost. Again, it's been very well highlighted by the first speaker. So one other thing about commercial real estate, the request for dollar rents and so on, which is fairly common, will continue to reduce. For those companies who still pay their rents in US dollars, many of them are now coming back and saying, look, let's discuss our rent in Naira. We want to convert our rents in Naira. And then, as you know, by the time you are looking at $100 per square meter rent and converting it to Naira, you know it's not tenable. So many organizations are actually seeing the rentals that they're paying drop. Landlords are also dropping their expectations as we convert many of these dollar rents to Naira. These are problems that are coming with COVID. For a lot of commercial real estate that are under construction, many of them will remain under construction. Financiers, especially offshore financiers, are not in a hurry to pump in more money because they can see that the market is slow. And right now, very few people are taking up this real estate. Now, let me talk quickly again on retail real estate. Retail real estate, we are a new dimension in the last 10, 15 years. We began to have the very big malls. They've really established themselves in Nigeria. But the challenge we see with post-COVID, and as the first speaker talked about, how many of us really want to go to the mall? How many of us want to go walking around the mall? So online shopping is something that will gain traction. We believe that footfalls in the malls will reduce. The recession post-COVID will reduce even the size, what we call basket size. It will reduce what the average shopper will buy, even as they go into the malls. And you'll find that, yes, even when you look at the malls and you see that huge crowd going in and out, and you really think, oh, wow, these guys are doing business, you'll find that many of them are there primarily for social sightseeing and so on. And then we must remember, we must also take into consideration the fact that we have not yet determined the impact of the social distancing policy. Because these days, you know, the protocol of going into a shop, you wash your hand, you take your temperature, you spray a disinfectant on your hand, and you're not really sure how much you want to do that all the time. So the retail industry, we see that they will have a challenge, there are problems, but what will grow for the retail industry? One of the areas where we reckon that they will have the growth are the smaller malls. When you look at malls and you look at shopping centers, neighborhood shopping centers will always continue to attract people. Anything from 5,000 square meters, 6,000 square meters and below, not the massive malls that are 20, 30,000 square meters inside. The neighborhood shopping malls, 6,000 square meters, create an opportunity for those who want to go into the retail business. You will have a lot of, there's a lot of prospect for that, even as we go forward post-COVID. The industrial real estate, we have talked about capacity utilization down to as low as 52%. If capacity utilization is low, the industries are not producing, industrial real estate will suffer because the warehouses can only be taken when people are producing, when people are exporting, and when there's a need for storage. So again, we have a challenge with industrial real estate. In the next couple of years, and well beyond COVID, we are going to have a challenge because we don't see that there will be a major demand for industrial real estate. Post-COVID is going to get worse, except the industries, there's a way that the industries can ramp up production. We also reckon that a lot of organizations will put their factories, a lot of owners will put their factories and their industrial premises in the market. A lot of those companies will come into the market. And the banks also, a lot of these real estate are pledged to a lot of financial institutions. Many of them will not be able to meet up with even if they restructure those facilities. Post-COVID, a lot of challenges will come, even in production, demand, fall in demand, and so on. So at the end of the day, we see a situation where many industries will not be able to meet up with the challenges, with production. They won't be able to meet up with paying their facilities to the financial institutions. So a lot of this company, a lot of the real estate will come into the market. It might, for we who are in the redeemed and in the religious, it might be a big one for us because we can easily buy these industries and set up churches. But right now, our outlook is that the industrial real estate will suffer. Finally, let me round up in the next 2-3 minutes. Hospitality industry. The hospitality industry is in for a tough time, even post-COVID. And for those who might be thinking they want to buy an hotel or go into the hotel business, this is not the time to do so. Post-COVID, the industry is going to suffer, and I will tell you why. We talked about, the first speaker talked about airlines. Did we ever think that there will be a time when the airlines would not fly for 2 months? The hospitality business is driven by travel. If the airlines are not traveling, the hotels do not have customers. It's even worse for us in Nigeria, where internal travel is primarily by air. I'm sure if we take a census of those of us who are in this webinar now, I'm sure that 50-70% of us travel more by air than by road because the roads are not good, the roads are not safe. So the travel industry drives the hospitality business. The hospitality business is challenged. The travel industry will not happen for a while unless COVID is dealt with. Unless COVID is dealt with. If you travel today to any country, you have to spend 2 weeks in quarantine. Not even for business. How much time do you have for the business that you will spend 2 weeks in quarantine? So there's a lot that is there's a lot that is against the hospitality business. The other aspects of the hospitality business are the seminars that we hold, the trade fairs and so on. And here we are this evening holding a major webinar. This ordinarily would have been something we would have held in a business, in an event center or one of the hotels, and it would have been a big show. But we're all here now this evening, scattered all over the world, doing this. Our outlook is that for the next couple of years, the hospitality industry will have major challenges, and this may not be the time to get into that business. In fact, this is the time. There will be a lot of them coming into the market. There are already a lot of them in the market, but we reckon that there will be a lot more coming into the market. The impact of social distancing and so on will be hitting them very hard. And many of these businesses will not even be able to open. Let me round off here. By and large, post-COVID, residential will continue to do fairly well. Most other parts of real estate, virtual offices, for those who want to go into running virtual offices, will continue to do well. Commercial, except you want to convert if you're in one of the B class or C class locations, you want to convert your home to an office or something, or to a retail outlet, shops and so on, you might do very well. But in terms of the major A class developments, in terms of industrial developments, this is not the time to go into them. Let me stop here and thank you very much for listening. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, sir. That has been a wonderful mind-blowing presentation. I believe that a lot of us already that have 1 or 2 questions to us already sent in our question. Without wasting time, because we know that when it comes to expert speaking, they have a lot to give, but they just have to compress this together. That is what we have had, but I know I picked a lot of things in the 2 presentations we had. Now the next presenter, panelist, is my wonderful brother, a friend, Mr. Kende Oyeleke. He started his career in corporate finance division of Atlanta, before specializing in corporate and business advisory services. He later joined a transaction structuring group of PricewaterhouseCoopers in the United States. Mr. Oyeleke later worked as vice president and principal of Capital Alliance and was really responsible for the whole range of firm investment selection, management, and the investment processes. He was also the executive director, corporate finance, financial advisory service at Asset and Resort Management Company Limited. Mr. Oyeleke currently leads Seedvest Group, an organization committed to provide assets to finance for individual and small businesses, that is SME. Mr. Oyeleke is a certified public accountant, a licensed in the United States of America. He's also a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. In addition to this, he has an MBA in Finance and Strategic Management from the Wharton School of the University in Pennsylvania. Mr. Oyeleke has attended Management Development Program at the Harvard Business School and Harvard Graduate School of Business. He sits on the board of several organizations. He's married with children. Mr. Oyeleke is going to talk to us on the role of microfinance institution in the development and growth of SME during this pandemic and after it. Mr. Oyeleke, you are welcome.
Thank you, Pastor Itemi. Good evening, and it's an honor to be here. I join my voice to that of Judy and Wale to congratulate my brother, my pastor, my Egmon, Pastor Bayo Olugbemi, on his birthday, and wish him many more wonderful years on this office. I pray that God will reward him for his labor. I really appreciate. I've always appreciated him, and thanks for having me here.
Thank you.
My job here has been made simpler by the earlier presenters, although I must confess that these are very tough people to follow because they know their stuff. And I'm also a bit scared that speaking right after me is my sister Toyin, who is a knowledge encyclopedia of investment in Nigeria as it were. So this is actually a tough group to belong to. But God will help me as always. Good evening.
Amen. Amen.
Please, can you please project the presentation because we really don't have that much time. Thank you so much. I've done my commendations and I'll just go to the next one, which is Beauty for Ashes from COVID-19. Most of the points I wanted to make here, please go on to please go ahead. Next one. Next. Thank you. Most of the points I wanted to make have been made by both Wale and Judith to some degree, but I needed to make the point briefly because there's a lesson I wanted to pass across. The first point has to do with the fact that we all know how devastating COVID-19 has been for people and for businesses across the globe. Lives have been lost and businesses have been disrupted. I think 1 million lives lost and counting, 23 million plus infections so far. This is really very devastating. And it's also sad that places where they had actually thought they had escaped the scourge, they have a second visitation. We pray that God will terminate this scourge in Jesus' name. The impact on the business has been rather harsh. Chude has spoken eloquently and as Wale on how much this thing has basically decimated businesses. I don't need to rehash those points. And of course, I listed there some samples of companies that have gone out of business or basically been bought over cheaply because of COVID. These are all names that we grew up knowing. And simply they won't be around anymore, at least some of them. And businesses have collapsed, and of course, a lot of unemployment claims where the country where those are tracked. And of course, again, places like Europe and America, a lot of efforts actually going to prevent people from losing their homes and being on the street. As a result of that, there's a lot of depression. I'm not rehashing this thing for the fun of it. Is to make a point. Next slide, please. But next slide, if you can. But we really need to be very, very thankful to God that somehow this thing, even though every life loss is a calamity, is at the level where it is. Because when this thing first started, I think there was a lot of comparison to 1918 and how tens of millions of lives were lost. And therefore, that we're talking of 1 million lives in totality, and the level of infection is actually something we need to appreciate. Coming back home to Nigeria and the rest of Africa, we should even be more grateful to God, because God has just been merciful to us. A country as big as Nigeria, with the way we carelessly live our lives, so we're talking of 60,000 cases in total, and less than 1,200 reported deaths. Is a cause for celebration if somebody can be as reckless as celebrating this kind of calamity. But honestly speaking, I think we've been spared. Therefore, I think we really need to thank God. And of course, we also need to bear in mind that this thing is not dead and buried yet. It's still around, and therefore we need to be very, very careful. Next slide. But this is where I'm going with this presentation, because this actually is the preamble, if you must. This is not my presentation. And it's a point I think Wale and Chude have made to some degree. Despite the devastation that COVID has brought, a lot of companies have actually recorded record growth in 2020, and it's a bit of an irony. Companies like Alphabet, also known as Google, Amazon, and Apple, I think they of course, they are all trillion-dollar companies, and they became, at least two of them became trillion-dollar companies in 2020. And despite the evil going on with the pandemic. Therefore, you can see that as people are really closing shops, losing their homes, some people are actually smiling as they say to the banks. And even here in Nigeria, a lot of businesses have been launched during this period. I'm aware of at least a friend of mine who is basically into furniture making, maybe high-level corporate furniture, but basically just took a look at this whole thing and went into chemical manufacturing, sanitizers, and cleaning materials. And to be honest with you, she's making serious money. Therefore, the point here is we should be mindful of the disease. We should stay safe, but this is not a time to start cowering and start lamenting and start wishing and things like that. We need to be mindful that this presents an opportunity. I also wanted to make a point that, and I think it's a point that Chude made also, that COVID-19 has actually introduced a lot of efficiencies into our lives. A mere 12 months ago, the idea of doing this program through a webinar would have been considered impossible or meaningless. But today, we're doing it. Any of the participants could very well have been in the UK or US, anywhere in the world. And the effectiveness of the presentation will be as we have it today. So we don't need to be physically in Lagos or be in Magodo to do this program. And this has cut off needless, risky, and expensive travels. It has also allowed the organizer of program like this to tap into skills from across the world. Whether I want to get Michael Porter or anybody like that, I mean, geography is no longer a restriction. And the whole idea that you have, sometimes many of us that are actually C-level executives, sometimes you have to fly all the way to UK or US for a 3-hour meeting, wasting 3-4 days in the process and risking life. If something good can come out of something so bad, I think COVID-19 has brought that kind of efficiency into our lives. Next slide, please. In any case, what we found out is that most great businesses are launched in the period of crisis. We all know the Bible that in Genesis 1:12. I think I may have gotten my quotation. I may have missed it. Chapter 26, 1-12. Isaac was said to have launched, to have sown in time of crisis, and he basically reaped a 100-fold return. If Isaac was busy lamenting the famine, I don't think he would have gotten the return that he got. And of course, we also know the story of Israelites, how they rebuilt their country and their wars during the time of captivity. Therefore, the point I'm making here is that, yeah, these things are bad, it's affecting everybody, people are losing their jobs, but it also carries opportunities with it. And I think Wale that's basically made the point I'm about to make is that the Chinese crisis, symbol for crisis, supposedly, it's also the symbol for opportunity. One here is that we shouldn't just keep on lamenting COVID and basically be receptive to ideas that can turn our lives around. There will be life after COVID, and actually, people that will thrive after COVID, we plant the seed as we speak. As the saying goes, don't let a good crisis go to waste. So much for my preambles, I'm done with that. I'll go to my presentation proper. I've been told to talk about the impact of microfinance on basically businesses, SMEs, and unemployment. I don't want to insult people here by defining microfinance, but I also don't want to make assumptions either. Therefore, I've just said simply, microfinance provision of financial services to the active poor. I get the use of the word poor there, but I think the key word I want to refer is active. It is not alms giving, it is not charity, it is basically giving money to put the money to work. And it operates best when it's run as a business and not as charity. It's something that has also evolved over time to where it is today. Commercial banks, God bless them, they are doing great. They are not set up, they are not wired, they are not programmed to support small business and SMEs. Even if they have the intention, their structure cannot carry it. And there have been a lot of efforts in the past, some of them before many of us were born, some of us were growing up that have kind of failed. And I mentioned them there. If those that are young that don't know what this is, can Google it. At the end of the day, this is the failure of this institution that actually led to a private sector-led intervention through microfinance banks. People also ask, why can't government just provide the money? The reality is, SME need for funding is massive, it's huge. I think, again, we don't keep figures in Nigeria, but the rough estimate is about 15 trillion naira per annum, which is beyond the capacity of the government. Even the annual budget of Nigeria is less than 11 billion. So if you want to fund SMEs, they will need to be doubling the budget or tripling it. Next slide, please. Next slide, maybe next one after that. I want to talk about the role of MFBs in supporting SMEs. Of course, funding is basically the lifeblood of any business. Therefore, what microfinance bank do, one of what things they do is to provide access to finance to businesses. And of course, because without money, you really can't do business. You can't do most businesses. Even intellectually based businesses like consulting and all that, you still need to have basic infrastructure in place, which will cost you money. And sometimes you have to wait till you've saved enough. It becomes basically an endless chase, because businesses won't wait for you to go and raise money through private savings before you can service them. Therefore, microfinance banks, they provide funding via loans. They also manage intervention funds provided through other institutions, and they enable people to take advantage of opportunities, and also they provide a hedge against inflation. Beyond providing funding, they can also provide savings opportunities. I think because we are business people, there's a lot of focus on access to funding, but we find out that most small businesses actually need savings products more than they need funding. Because what borrowing money does is, if you do it perpetually, to make you a debtor, and you really don't go too far until you start putting money away. And therefore, savings is important, and microfinance does that so that we don't consume all our gains, and it prevents over-dependence on loans. And of course, people also can save towards specific projects, whether your daughter wants to get married or your son want to go to Jerusalem or other beautiful things that people do in life, or just want to expand your business. Therefore, you don't want to rely on borrowing for all these things. MFBs allow you to do that. And of course, they also develop the capacity of businesses. A lot of people, they have passion for the business. If people want to do dry cleaning, they know dry cleaning. But many of them don't know business. Because dry cleaning is just a technical job. If you don't run it as a business, no matter what you do, even church, if you don't put normal finesse and normal organization to it, there will be issues. Therefore, what we do is also with basically guiding them on business fundamentals, a bit of cash planning, budgeting, and also keeping and interpreting financial records. It's like when people go for the annual medical checkup, they may be looking fine and all that. In fact, in some cases, the person will be developing pot belly. People will congratulate him for looking good. Meanwhile, it's actually not very well. But when you go for checkup, they can tell you that that big belly you're getting is actually a sign of sickness. Basically, sometimes you need an expert to tell you that. I mean, you can be making a lot of sales, but if you lose a naira on every unit you sell, you need to sell enough to go out of business. Moving on to, so we do all those things basically. Can we move on? Okay, next slide. Of course, we also, MLB also help in employment generation. When businesses grow through funding, through savings, through capacity development, they employ more people as they grow. And of course, they can also provide value-added services. As a result of this, SMEs have actually created millions of jobs. I will not go as far as saying that it's funding from microfinance that enable them to do this, because of course you need to run your business well before you grow. But I think MFBs have also helped, and also enhancing their capacity basically to develop the employers who helped. MFBs are also themselves employers of labor. I think there are about 1,000 or so of them. I think they generate hundreds of thousands of jobs, and therefore both directly and indirectly, I think we've helped in generating jobs. I need to make some clarifications, please. Next couple of slides, please. What I've mentioned above is a service that good microfinance bank produce. Like every other field, you have good players and you also have some very, very dodgy players. And therefore, we must know that microfinance banks are not created equal. I must make assumption that every MFB has capacity or willingness, or even the interest to perform the listed functions. And my presentation shouldn't be taken as saying that, oh, every MFB is good, or a particular MFB is good. You know, people need to do their own work before they put their money elsewhere, before they even entrust anything to anybody. And Soccer is saturated field. Any field where you have 1,000 players, good to have a kind of character playing there. And the fact that somebody actually has a license issued by the central bank does not really guarantee that the person has integrity or that what he's claiming to do, he has the capacity or even the interest to do it. And of course, every now and then you read, I think the latest joke is in the agri sector where they say, well, the people are doing some animal rearing, if you give them money, give 50% in like 3 months and things like that. It doesn't happen and it doesn't exist. There's no business in the world that can guarantee you 50% returns in any period of time, less than 1 year, or over a 1 year period for that matter. And therefore, when those offers are made, people are advised to actually run as fast as they can. Since let's experience a bit of self-promotion here, but I think I didn't mean fair. We'll be around 2002, 23 offices in Lagos and Oyo states. I think we've disbursed even more than this, close to 30 billion in loans to individual and small businesses. Nothing compared to what big boys have done. We'll do in a year, but we are small players. Thank you very much. We've also served to on-lend funds on behalf of the central bank, state governments, Rotary International, a club that I'm a proud member of, Delco Business Bank Club, the Club of the so on and so forth. And of course, we also manage intervention funds for HNIs. We regularly engage in capacity development programs for business and employees. And of course, we also try to take the burden of administering staff loan away from SMEs by basically offering their staff loan so that they can focus on their business and they can also be motivated. And of course, as always, I always appreciate this privilege to be part of this program. So what are my parting thoughts? The last slide, please, if you don't mind. These are unusual times, but things could have been worse. Therefore, we should really thank the Almighty God for his mercies. Like I mentioned earlier, crisis period like this are always occasion for the birth of new opportunities, and we need to be mindful and be open to this. When you work with carefully selected funders or maybe microfinance bank, you can be at a progressive advantage, but please push them borrow money that they don't need, even if it's being offered at a giveaway rate, because when you borrow, you still have to pay back. Also, people need to be careful to work with organizations with proven integrity. Like I've mentioned earlier, I think there are, apart from microfinance bank, there are hundreds of unlicensed operators, MFIs, and other players, some of them doing unwholesome stuff. And I also wanted to mention that if the fact that somebody has a license does not confer legitimacy on them or what they do. But definitely though, if you had the choice, you're better off dealing with somebody who has a license than with somebody who doesn't. Because that person at least has somebody you can report him to if he does something silly. Entrepreneurship is a rewarding undertaking. Most of the value we see in the world today were created people that actually ventured out. Therefore, if you have people in our churches that are trying to launch out on their own, they deserve to be encouraged. And of course, properly done, it could be very, very rewarding. Our pastor here is a man of many parts, but he's created a lot of value by being a business owner. May God continue to enable him. Beyond borrowing, there are also other ways of raising money. I mean, you can basically talk to your vendor to basically finance you, to give you goods on discount so that you can use. And of course, there's also a lot of effort on receivable management. You can incentivize people to pay early so that you don't need to borrow. Therefore, borrowing is not always the only option. And people should exhaust the option before they resort to borrowing. Entrepreneurs are not supposed to know everything. Nobody knows everything. When we were much younger, a good lawyer probably was a lawyer that could cram all the law cases and regurgitate them. Not anymore. A good lawyer today is a lawyer that knows the references, where they are, and how to find them. And therefore, what we are supposed to know is where to go, who to ask. And please always ask questions. And of course, what I found out the hard way is that any business that good as a team behind it, if you're a lone ranger, you are doing what you're going to Harvard and go to Stanford, but people behind you are not going anywhere. Ultimately, you still have to rely on these people. Let's focus on developing capacity behind us. I'm finishing with 2 quotes. Proverbs 16:3, commit your ways unto the Lord, and will establish your thoughts. And of course, my favorite, trust God with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding, with all, your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Kunle, thank you so much for the opportunity. And Pastor Lugbemi, I'm also grateful. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oyeleke. That has been a wonderful one, and I think we have really learned a lot. And I know that I have some question here that whether we're going to send this material to all registered participants in this program. Now we want to move to not the last speaker. Madam, Pastor Mrs. will say, why did you put me a lady last in this program? I know that as a woman, you had a lot to give. I only look at women that they give a lot in the house, everywhere, career. So I know you have a lot, and I want you to give the last so that we can really sit down and receive it. God bless you, ma, for coming. Mrs. Sandy is a group chief executive officer of Emerging Africa Group. She's also the president of Association of Corporate and Individual Investment Advisor in Nigeria. She has in her shopping basket 30-year experience as a banker and author. She's a fellow chartered intro of stockbroker, fellow chartered intro of secretaries, fellow Association of Investment Advisor and Portfolio Manager, member chartered intro of Security and Investment UK, and president Association of Corporate and Individual Finance Advisor Nigeria. Mrs. Sani is an alumni of University of Ife, of which I am, and Kennedy, I think, is from there. She holds a first degree in law from Great Ife, a master's degree in law from University of Lagos. She is also an alumni of Lagos Business School, New York Institute of Finance, Washington School, and Harvard Business School. Mrs. Sani, in 2017, was declared the All-African Businesswoman of the Year at the CNBC Forbes Africa Award and the Nigerian CEO of the Year by Peer Award Board. Due to her passion in developing leaders, she founded Women in Finance Nigeria and the UK Wing. Mrs. Sani holds other portfolios which include co-lead and ambassador for African CEO Forum. She's also on the board of Women Working for Change and also on the board of Transcorp PSC, among other boards. Pastor Mrs. Sani is married and blessed with 3 wonderful children. Mrs. Sani, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to start by once again wishing our dear Pastor Bayo Lubemi, with whom I share so many linkages known to him and to me. I wish you a very happy birthday. I congratulate you, sir. And I pray that God's hand will remain powerfully upon you all the days of your life, which shall be long and very fruitful and very joyful. I thank you, and I thank the church. I thank Victory Chapel and Lagos Province 21 for this amazingly productive and inspiring way to celebrate the birthday of a great man indeed. I must also remember, Pastor Lubemi, that you're many things to so many people, and I just thank God for your life. I thank you very much, Pastor Itemi, Pastor Kunle Itemi, for the opportunity for me to be in the company of these erudite and highly knowledgeable, articulate, and very experienced presenters that we have had today. I have learned a lot from Mr. Wole Ajimisimi and also from my dear brother Kehinde Oyeleke. Lovely to see you again. And of course, from Mr. Ubosi Ele, who is one of the most experienced real estate experts in Nigeria. Clearly, you have brought a panel of experts, and I feel honored to be counted amongst them. I welcome every participant, and I pray that I will be able to add value to you in the few minutes in which I will make my presentation. I will now proceed to share. Is it possible? Can I be enabled to share, or is somebody? Yeah, if I can. Okay, you want to share for me? The problem is.
Share for you all.
Okay, you prefer that, because if I share myself, then I can move the slides, myself, and I wouldn't keep saying.
Okay, in a moment, let us explore that possibility.
Yes, thank you. It will make the presentation smoother, and because I'm the last presenter, I suspect that everybody will they will give me credit for saving their time.
That is it.
I will be more popular if I save everybody's time, because I am the last speaker. Everybody is full right now. This presentation should be the dessert, and like every good dessert, it should be short, crisp, and sweet. And I'm going to endeavor to do that. So, okay. So, sorry. Do you think I can share now?
Just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment.
Whilst we're waiting, I commend everyone. I think
you want to share.
I'm permitted to share now. It's all good.
Okay.
All
you
good.
Can share. You can share.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there. So and I commend everyone who has stayed to celebrate Pastor Bayo in this way, and to participate in this wonderful way. So I am speaking on the role of financial investments in mitigating the impact of COVID-19 on individuals and businesses in Nigeria. So I'm going to be speaking to us as individuals. I'll try and speak to us also as business leaders as to, how we think we can best cushion the impact of COVID-19, and where my slide talks to things that have already been explored extensively. I'm just going to try and move as fast as possible. So historically, and this underscores a point that has already been made, especially by the last speaker. Historically, crisis has been the universe's way of challenging the health of an economy, the resilience of countries, or even the existence of the human race, of essentially challenging the status quo and of changing the status quo. And COVID-19 is bringing an awakening and causing a shift in all aspects of our lives. It's a revolution, it's a war, it's an endurance test, it's a stress test, and it's a completely paradigm shifting occurrence. But the point I'm making is that crisis is normal to life. Now, the IMF made this growth forecast earlier in the year. Some of these forecasts have even been revised further. But this is just to show you that the whole world is being impacted by COVID-19. Every aspect of the economy has an adverse outlook. I'm sorry about that. A call tried to come in and it has disrupted, but I hope you can all still hear me. I would appreciate if, fantastic. So you can see the growth forecasts for the entire globe. It's all dismal, for Italy as high as minus 9.1 for 2020. So 2020 is short. And I think I remember Mr. Jim Simi saying that as far as he's concerned, the goal for 2020 should largely be survival, So with this kind of projections, you can't blame anybody who essentially is just trying to survive. And then there are also predictions that there will be recovery. And that's why almost again across the globe, the projections for 2021 are positive and not negative. Now, how should you as an individual and as a business leader respond to COVID-19? I don't think anybody should throw up their arms and roll over and die. You have to take ownership. It's a global challenge, but it is personal to you, and you have to take it personal. You have to settle in your mind that recession doesn't mean that no one makes money. It probably just means that you may no longer make money in the old way you were making money, and only a new set of people acting in a new set of ways can make money. And you want to make up your mind that you're going to be one of those new sets of people acting in new sets of ways. Accept the cyclical nature of markets. Markets are like a wheel, and when you roll a wheel, the same movement that takes a part of it to the top takes another part of it to the bottom, and that's the truth. So you need to understand that. So yes, there's a recession, but we have to think in an expansionary way. So you need to fight your way out of the recession, and all behavior is belief-driven. Innovation, investing smartly is not something you have, it is something you do. These are learned habits. How can we learn new habits? Those who survive, somebody has mentioned Who Moved My Cheese Here Today. It's one of my favorite books of all times. know, there's an interesting story about Kodak and how Kodak essentially had maybe like over 90% of the world's market for photography, for the pictures, and when they discovered, and they were the first, it was within their system that they discovered digital photography, but they said to themselves, no, we're not going to go this way because we have invested too deeply in chemicals and in the old technology. And because they would not invest and they would not learn new habits, eventually that technology took hold, and now they're looking to be bailed out and to transform into a chemical company, essentially, because they missed that opportunity. So what are my recommended responses to you in COVID-19? Don't be too risk averse. I like to recommend that you it is true, and everybody has said it, and I agree, watch your costs. But unfortunately, nobody ever got wealthy by spending less. Or let me put it that way, I need to be careful here. Yes, spend less because you conserve your wealth. But I would personally put 80% of my action into trying to earn more and 20% of my intention into saving. And personally, that's what I have done, and that's what we have done at Emerging Africa. And because we focused on where were the opportunities and we went after the opportunities while saving costs, but we went after new opportunities, I will say that as a business, we have actually fared better this year than in the prior year. So you prioritize and you conserve cash so that you can invest in the right things. You scout investment opportunities carefully. And Genesis 26, my brother, Mr. Yeleke already mentioned it. Isaac sowed in the land of famine, and in that same land, he still reaped 100-fold. So what am I saying? The rich give more. When the going gets tough, when things get, and I thank God because I believe I'm speaking to an audience made up predominantly of believers. When the going gets tough, the rich don't stop giving. They actually give more. The knowledgeable rich. And of course, develop new personal skills, upskill yourself, and give yourself permission to fail. Failure is not the end of anything. If you fail, you just you dust yourself up and you keep moving. If we were in church now, I would say, look at your neighbor and say, keep moving. That's one of the things I miss in all these virtual things. So, look at yourself or whoever is around you and say, keep moving, keep moving. So let's get realistic about COVID-19. COVID-19 is a Saul type of enemy, not a Goliath type of enemy. One of the questions I've always enjoyed asking people when I teach the Bible is to say, who do you think was Saul's greatest enemy? Many people say, was David's greatest enemy. And many people say Goliath because he was so big and massive and so scary. But an enemy that you conquer in maybe 30 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours encounter is not the enemy it's not the major enemy. The major enemy of your life is an enemy that chases you for 17 years, like Saul chased David for 17 years before he captured him. Or before he conquered him. So it was his boss, his king, his host, his benefactor, his best friend's dad and father-in-law, whom he fought for 17 years, that was actually his greatest enemy, not Goliath that was so big and everybody was so afraid of. The point I'm making is that COVID-19 can be likened more to Saul than to Goliath because it's not an overnight thing. It's something that may be around, for quite a while for the world, but you just have to learn to survive it. So how do you survive? You outthink it. You schedule thinking time. And I love something I've heard somebody say today, and I think it was Mr. Wole that said it, that, as business leaders, you are the thinker for the business. So all of us need to schedule thinking time. Thinking is not something you do accidentally. It's something you make out time. Put it in your calendar. When am I going to think through how I'm going to make progress this year? Outpray it, outplan it, outgive it, outinvest it, outbelieve it. After all, Isaac sowed in the land of famine and received 100-fold return. I know it's a technical presentation, but it's also a presentation to a predominantly Christian group, and I just like to use biblical examples. So I know that there were some milestones that I needed to reach in the last couple of weeks, and I had done everything I knew to do, and every power I had within my power. And then I just had a lead in that, look, why don't you make a tangible offering and remind God that, look, God, this is the last time when anybody should be making this tangible offering, but it's because I need this breakthrough. And I did, to our project fund. And, this was earlier this month. And to the glory of God, I crossed that milestone this month. And this is a milestone that I've been waiting to cross for like 10 months. So now, how do you manage your personal finance? You need to address all the aspects that I've mentioned here. So what may likely fall? Salaries could fall if your salary is your major, if you are a salary earner. Dividends, obviously, from your usual investments, have fallen. Companies are conserving and trying to survive. This is not the year when they make, pay juicy dividends or pay dividends at all. Income on disposal of shares, obviously, because most times nobody's buying right now. Now, what should or may rise? Your savings should rise. This is the time when you need to, and somebody has said it's been said already that the savings we're making through digital, through working from home, this is not the time when you go and spend those things. The saving you have made from not going to the office, I saved a lot from not running my SUV up and down, and this reminded me, I was just so grateful to God, because earlier in the year I was contemplating buying a new car. It would have been such a waste, because I don't even know where I would have gone with that car. Thank God that that car passed over me. And my priorities have since changed. In my office as well, we decided we work from 2 buildings, and the building that is the front building, which housed my personal office, I decided to sacrifice it as a saving. So I told people we were going to move to the rear building and use less space and give up the front space and save money that way. And that's one of the ways we saved. So as your saving increases, then what you are saving, you should invest more actually. So saving on data, but then you spend more on nutrition because you want to be healthy. You spend more on healthcare and all the supplements that we're buying, and power costs seem to be going up any minute now. But what to seek to earn more on? If you can make digital sales, if you can market. One thing we've done in my business is that we've been very active and very visible in the digital space. And it has paid off because we have had top of the mind. We've had more mandates in the last 3 months than we had probably in the whole of last year. And I think it came from the fact that while everybody else was pulling back and everybody else was trying to figure out what to do and everybody else was not visible, we were out there every week, being visible, speaking out. Our digital footprints were very, very consistent during this period. So you can increase digital sales, marketing, online training, ebooks, webinars. Sorry, this thing says weddiners. Yeah, maybe we should increase weddiners as well. We need weddings to make us happy. Yeah, and I can talk about that. I've seen a lot of people taking advantage of the fact that you can, at least for the using COVID as a good cover, you can have 50 man, 30 man, 40 man, 20 guest weddings, when you used to have weddings with 1,000 and 1,500 guests. And you can tell everybody it's COVID. And then you can make all that saving and take it into and put it into your personal life and into investments, long-term investments. So home entertainment content, if you have anything you can push out, ICT platforms, HR consulting, debt restructuring, and of course, what I do, financial advisory and capital raising. Bottom line is that, yes, people are making less money, but a lot of people are needing to restructure their loans and they're needing to advance, they're needing to take more capital. So we've worked, with both private sector and public sector entities to raise funding during this period. What can you save on? Travels. We came up with a no travel policy even before travels were banned. And now, I saw that once travels were allowed, people wanted to start traveling. I just reminded them that I have not lifted the no travel policy. So there's so much that we can do. At this point, I don't need to overflog it. Okay, I'm on parties and fashion and all that. I'm moving to the next slide. So what should be your short-term personal saving and investments? Cash and near cash, treasury bills, fixed deposits, commercial paper investments, fixed income, flight to safety with funds required. The funds you need in the short term, obviously you need to, apply them to more conservatively, and then avoid panic sales, rather, unless you are cash strapped, and rather cherry pick and make strategic exits. Otherwise, you will lock in major losses. Make good investments in enduring sectors. There are sectors you can still invest in. Agribusiness is still very viable. ICT is amazing. By May, I think Zoom, for example, had already made over 400% accretion in share value this year. I stopped counting after that. Healthcare, remote and online education, logistics, solar power. These are sectors to look out for. Deregulation of forex is inevitable, and of course, oil and gas and power will become interesting as the deregulation takes hold. And then the deregulation of forex, obviously, I mean, it's already happening. I mean, and where, you know, so it's not time to sell your forex assets because the price was high. You know, it's but it's time except to buy an NGN asset. But it must be going cheap and capable of generating significant revenues. If you must sell, you know, your forex asset to buy an NGN asset, and you have to look at what currencies your future obligations in. If you have still have children schooling abroad, you know, and they're not in online programs, you know, then you have to still maintain that foreign currency. A lot has been said about real estate, so I'm just going to leave it. So NGN is still falling, that's the Naira currency. So your appetite for imported goods should be grossly diminished. Your long-term investments, equity in growth companies in the sectors that are either resistant, you know, to COVID-19 or counter-cyclical, like some of the ones we've talked about, like ICT and healthcare and food, you know, food because it's resistant, we will always need to eat. E-commerce, food value chain, training, especially ICT, artificial intelligence, you know, data analytics, robotics, branding, digital platforms, we've talked about, grocery sales, consumer staples, and invest in what can be exported, especially across Africa, especially as we await, you know, after the takeoff of AFTA across the region. And then that's a way in which you can actually earn foreign exchange income. So, ramping up towards the end, I mean, I should tell you what we do at Emerging Africa and how we can help. We're a leading financial service provider with extensive business lines. We cater to the diverse investment needs of our clients. We provide integrated investment banking services. Specifically, we offer opportunities in asset management, that is through mutual funds, including dollar-denominated funds, including Naira-denominated funds, including, you know, balanced funds, you know, and we provide trust services, debt, and equity capital markets, capital raising, even for SMEs as well, and also for big corporates. And we have some faith-based real estate products. So we actually help, you know, to fund church buildings. And the product is interesting. And so far we have zero default on it because we are very careful. We select those whom we partner with. Our belief system is just that the goals of our clients should be achieved. That's what drives us all the time, that your goals should be achieved. In building wealth, I think I can skip this. It's just as, and I suspect I can take it for granted that all of us know what it means to build wealth. And of course, we operate predominantly in the capital market. And so we're able to give you investment opportunities across equities, preference shares, debt instruments, derivatives. It's really great news that in Nigeria now we have the two exchanges announcing that their central counterparties have been approved all this same week. September has been an amazing month generally. So building wealth through the capital market is what we offer to the clients, and we encourage our clients to make money first, and then to save money, and then to invest money. So you need to cultivate a long-term source of income that is sufficient to have some left. You need to control your spending. There are three major ways to profit from the capital market: to make dividend yield, capital appreciation, and bonus issues. And of course, building wealth in the capital market through capital appreciation is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not an overnight thing. It's something that you need to, we will guide you through, and you invest in what you know. And of course, a plan is needed, and the starting point of the plan is to know your risk appetite and understand your income and expenses and know the difference between savings and investments. And we help our clients to build a well-diversified portfolio. What I will say is that by the grace of God, neither us nor our clients have lost money during this period, despite the advent of COVID-19, because we employ very, very well-mapped ways in which we manage investments of our clients. And so on the whole, I thank you again for listening and for your time and attention. I've tried to be as fast as possible. I thank Pastor Bayo for the opportunity to present. I hope that I have added value. I'm going to put my contact details in the chat, and I welcome comments and questions. Thank you very much once again to Victory Chapel and to Pastor Bayo and Pastor Kunle for the opportunity to present. Those are my company's social media platforms if you want to contact us. And mine across all social media is just Toyin F. Sami if you want to contact me. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much, Ma. That is a wonderful one. Like I rightly said before when I was introducing you, that it's like I know that the question that will come forward will actually be to you. But before then, I just want to appreciate all our panelists for the idea. And I know we had a very tight schedule, so our pastor is still going to put one or two words across to you. So it has been a wonderful, I really appreciate it. Some of us very tight. I know Mr. Bossi is in the office. We like to go to his house. So, and he stayed behind to be part of this. I see him there, I appreciate you. Now we want to ask this question. There's a question here that we are talking about the need for backward integration, that we need to bring most of this industry here instead of searching for the dollar that is not there to bring in your finished product. But then there's nothing you can establish here without the dollar in terms of machinery, in terms of technical know-how. In fact, when you really want to go to the industry, you still need the technical idea from the foreign partner. Then couple the fact that you see the market today, no matter what you bring here in the first from China, you will not compete with them. So we are just asking, the question here is, how can we cope with this dilemma to stress themselves? I mean, less stress in looking for dollar. How can we really, what can one do to make sure that you have this product produced here in the face of scarcity of dollar and also the terrible competition from China in terms of pricing? So I think this question is to you, Ma.
Okay, thank you. I mean, it's a fantastic plan to, tap into the supply gaps and fault lines that have been exposed even by COVID-19 across the world. The challenge will always be that these decisions are not taken sentimentally, and they're not taken because you are begging them to come. These decisions are taken based on the competitive comparisons that they're going to make. So what is the cost of doing business in our country? What is the ease of doing business in our country? What is the cost of labor in our country? How readily available is power in our country? What is the security situation in our country? How safe do investors feel in our country? What is the management mechanism for our foreign currency? How transparent is it, such that do investors feel that the pricing that we place on our currency is the true price, or that we are managing it artificially? What confidence do they have that when they are through with their investments and they want to take the money out, that the proceeds, they will be able to take their funding out, and they will be able to access our currency on excellent terms? So the point I'm making is that we can encourage everybody to say, look, come and build your factories here, come and invest here, whatever. We can say it verbally, but at the end of the day, it's not what we say that matters, it's what we do as a nation. It's what we put in place. And we've been suffering in this light by comparison to Ghana, for example, where they've not only said the right thing, they've done the right thing in terms of even the kind of quality of infrastructure that they've put in place. So again, we need to look at the infrastructure deficit. So they've put in place a world-class airport. They have signed a contract for a rail system that again is world-class, that is modeled after the Gauteng in South Africa. So can we do all these things? Can we put these kind of things on ground? If we can, then it radically changes and revolutionizes everything. So it's, as a government, as a people, it's not enough to say that we want, foreign direct investments and we want, all these factories to be built here. The reality is that they're actually living here and going elsewhere right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think the second question here is to Mr. Oyeleke. The question is that most SME or the small business out there, they won't have idea, they want finance, but there's no collateral. Well, we just want to, how can they access credit through microfinance? What approach can they, without collateral, and then you need security?
Thank you for that question. I think the financing landscape in Nigeria is getting better. And I think the focus on collateral is actually diminishing because most credible banks are actually not in the business of taking somebody's house or their card and things like that. I think just because of our bad credit culture that made all those things necessary. I always tell people that if you live abroad, you can borrow a lot of money by just calling your banks. They don't even know what you look like. They don't know your nationality or anything like that. The only thing they have is your credit record. Therefore, I think the OBVN thing, credit bureau, and all those other institutions, when as they work together, access to credit will be enhanced. I think that's on that way. But to your question specifically, there's always more than one way to skin a cat. I mean, somebody needs money, depending on the institution you're working with. They can ask you, I mean, I'm being practical here, maybe you need to bring a credible guarantor that can support you, or you need to just need to look at what you are financing and not and be sure that the cash flow, because there's a lot that goes into assessing credit than whether it's been collateral or not. If people really have collateral and they need loan, what they need to do to go and set the collateral and use the fund. But if all you're looking for is a loan, then the whole idea of who you are, what business you are doing, the viability of the business, and your integrity as a person, and how much leverage you have otherwise are more relevant than the collateral you bring. So in a word, I would say that you need to sit down sincerely with you, whichever institution you're talking to, explain your limitation to them, and then together you can work to address the issue of collateral. The only point though is, I think from experience, when you give out money and you are completely naked, you are likely to kind of be deprived of the money. I think the reality is that when people are looking for loans, the person that comes to collect the loan is different from the person that will pay it back. And anybody that has lent out money, either personally or as an institution, will know what I'm talking about. Therefore, the idea you can go to an institution and collect money and not have anything that they can track you with is an illusion. In short, engage your banker, and if you don't like the answer you are given, talk to another one, definitely. But that would be my answer to the question. And by the way, my senior Ms. Sunny is here, so she can probably throw in a line or two. I mean, these are established banks.
He's senior. You mean your friend and your colleague and your sister? I think you've answered excellently. The dynamics are changing, and the funding will be available on a case-by-case basis, and there will be other things that can be considered other than collateral, and also or collateral security, and also there are also credit enhancement agencies who make it their business to provide credit enhancement under the right circumstances. And then one of the things we're doing is that even though we're investment bankers, we have set up an SME desk. And so what we do at Imagine Africa is that we put to use some of the measures that we take in investment banking, such as setting up trust accounts and all kinds of things that we help to use to provide alternatives to collateral security when we lend to some of the businesses, or we arrange loans for some of the businesses that we deal with. I hope that answers the question.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think the other question here, what's a lot of questions about the material, and we are going to collect all this material, and also access to our panelists in the near future when we need business advisory services. And I will establish this link and get across to our participants. Thank you very much. At this time, I want to invite Pastor Bayo to say one or two things before we wrap up this Summit. You're welcome, sir.
I hope can you hear?
Sir. Yes, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much once again. I was just chatting on one of the platforms, I think on YouTube, and I asked, I hope your connecting with all this evening is worthwhile. And I've seen responses that yes, it is. So which means they have given pass mark and validity to what we have just done this evening. So all I have to say, one, is to say thank you to all the panelists, Mr. Wole, Jimmy Simi, Chidi, Bosi, Kendi, Oyeleke, and my sister, Mrs. Toyin Sani. Thank you for the deliveries. Thank you for those insightful and informative deliveries. Come to support us this evening. I would say thank you very much. The message and so forth, and all the prayers. We are not ungrateful, as they say, and we are not taking it for granted. Just want to say thank you very much, and God bless you.
I want everyone to unmute our mic. Let us unmute our mic. Everybody unmute our mic. We are going to sing. I think all mic are. Let's also let me talk today. Oh, my casting. Artists on mic still muted. Almost our mic, everyone. We are going to sing for our pastor. Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
dear pastor.
May
Happy birthday,
the good Lord bless you.
May the good Lord bless you.
May the good Lord
bless you, pastor.
May the good Lord bless
you.
Epepe, hooray! Epepe,
hooray!
Epepe, hooray! Wow! Thank you very much. And God, you and your family, in Jesus' name, we see at another time.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy birthday, madam.
Happy birthday.
Madam Fadika, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, madam. It's your birthday.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You both so much together. Bye bye. Love to the children.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday.